Hello everyone, welcome back. It's time for week 17? I think week 17 garden tour. It's a really foggy morning this morning. In the 60s I think. I don't think we're really supposed to get much above 16 and it's supposed to be kind of like this or drizzly all day. But we'll take a look in the garden. I was able to harvest one row of potatoes last night. I need to come out and pick tomatoes again. I don't think I'm going to end up planting peas because it's September. And we're going to have a frost before we know it. Sad to think that because I love the garden this time of year, but that's the reality of having a short season. So, let's take a look. Okay. So, cosmos look good. Flowers have all been really good, minus the glads. We've been over that. I really think I'm going to pull and toss all of them. I don't think it's worth saving if I'm having this many issues. Sunflowers are all starting to come in like crazy. Of course, I should come out and cut these so I'm able to use them. The tomatoes hated the heat. I have so many like dead, burnt leaves. They seem to be putting on new growth now that it's cooled down a little bit. Like, there's a certain level of heat that's good, and then there's a level of heat that's just not good. And we were at that level of not good for way too long. But need to come out, pick some of these tomatoes so that I can either freeze them to make sauce this winter, or I want to make some stewed tomatoes, but I still have a bunch on the counter that I probably can do that with. Oh, look, golden finches. Cosmos going like crazy. I'm not sure. I might plant some along the fence next year, but I don't know that I'm going to dedicate garden space to them. I might pick something else as a filler for my bouquets. Cherry tomatoes I need to pick. I need to pick the ones off the ground because they make all these volunteers, which isn't bad, but it's a lot to weed. Then I have my onions that are pretty much ready to get pulled. Very small in size this year. I think they were lacking the nutrients they needed. Definitely going to take the time to bring up compost from the manure pile, more or less, and put it on the garden because that made a huge difference last year. Some leftover beets, empty pea row. Then we have all of these snapdragons. They're all starting to put on new growth. With the cooler weather, I will leave them because they quite possibly will flower again. The Gomphrena down here is looking really good. I need to pull it because this is one that I can dry and then be able to use in dried flower arrangements. So to do the wiggle test on it, like that one's good to pull. And it's only starting to lose one, so it's like perfect condition versus some once they get a little too old, like this one. Won't really dry well because it's going to lose all those petals. But pretty impressed. It definitely takes some heat to take off, so takes a little bit, but I think it'll get there. The white Gomphrena, not sold yet. But nothing has gotten really sturdy enough to be able to cut it. So, I don't know. Still waiting on that. It's a lot more of like a branchy style too. Like that one's actually cuttable. But the white Gomphrena has not been as impressive to me. Looks like for the sea holly, this is as big as it gets, and this is the color that it is. So not sure how to use that because that's a little bit like a little thick to be putting in one bouquet. So I'll have to see if next year it's a little bit of a different experience. Celosia going like crazy. I have pulled some because they're starting to get their seed pods on them. Like, I don't think this one has it, but I don't see that there. There's an aphid. Another aphid. But these all end up being seed pods. I think most of the seeds have fallen out of them. But when they start to get those, I kind of collect some of those seeds. Same on here, like you can kind of see some of the seeds in that one, that little black dot there. Those seeds, I save those, and then that's how I grow my celosia year to year. Then I don't have to buy more. Yarrow is looking good. Putting on a second round of blooms. Basil's out of this world. Beans are done. They're actually starting to put on some new growth and some new baby beans. So, that's fun. Sage looks good. Yarrow looks good. And then this is the row of potatoes that hopefully it doesn't rain too much and I can get these harvested today. I'm excited to see them. Let's see, I've pulled the golden potatoes. I had pretty good production out of those. And then I pulled the Eva potatoes. They are all a really good consistent size. I have very few, of like 5 little ones, and the rest are all pretty much fist-sized. Very consistent shape, but they're not quite as productive as I would like to see, and I'm not 100% sure if that's just a little bit of lack of nutrients, but I think it's the potato. I don't think they're meant to be as much of a production as they are meant to be more like consistent. Then we have the zucchini and the summer squash. Still putting on a little bit of healthy new growth. The rest is definitely suffering from powdery mildew. And I'm getting a couple little fruits out of them, so I'm not going to pull them yet. Dill is dried up and done. I could save seeds off of it. Cucumbers. They're starting to put on some actual cukes. There's a way overgrown cucumber that I had pulled off. We'll see if anything really comes out of. This hasn't been a good cucumber year, at least not for me. Carrots are all ready to be pulled. I need to turn the water on them and just saturate them for a couple of hours and then pull them so I can get the ground to loosen up. I think I probably will do my carrots again next year. I liked them here. However, I think I'm going to eat like a broad fork or lift the entire area to make it a lot more fluffy so that it's a little easier to pull out the carrots, because as much as they should help break up the ground some, they're like impossible to get out currently. Kale is doing great. That'll last through most of the winter. Some cabbage that still needs to get pulled, but the celery looks really good. I actually think I need to come in and harvest some of my celery and freeze it. Remember when I thought I was all proud of myself for planting all of these Brussels sprouts? Wasn't Brussels sprouts. Other important thing, don't ever plant your Brussels sprouts this close together, because I can tell you they're small, massive trees, and they need a lot more space. But celery looks pretty good, so I'm happy with that. Gonna start cutting and using some fresh, and then, like I said, freeze a bunch, because then I can just take out whatever I need for a soup or whatnot, and it's nice to not have to buy celery for soup. If you want it to still be crunchy, you're gonna have to buy it, but for soups and things along those lines, cooked, then it works really well. But that's everything going on in the garden. I know last week I showed you the wonderful super tall sunflowers, and the next day we had a crazy rainstorm and it blew most of them over. So the crazy tall sunflowers are no longer, but I got to enjoy them. I cut the heads off, took them inside and put them in a vase so that I could at least enjoy them. A lot of them still opened up, and it was nice to have, but I was kind of sad that the wind blew them over. So that's everything that is going on here. I hope you enjoyed the morning garden tour, and be on the lookout for a potato harvest video. Okay, thanks everyone.